evening, everyone. First of all, thank you all so much for coming. Seeing everyone here tonight is so fantastic. And before I start, I'd like to thank the person who organised it, my sister Deborah. Big round of applause. I am actually 18 months older than my sister, but thanks to modern technology, she's actually only 3 months old. With the heat this week, I expect to see a blob of plastic on the floor. Sorry, Deb. I passed my driving test at a very early age of 17. It was a bit like today, when you couldn't take your driving test. You had to wait a long, long time. I think I waited about 6-7 months. I failed the first time because I tried to run someone over the zebra crossing. Not my fault. The second time was absolutely perfect. It was like, Dad, can I get a car? Now, we used to drink down the Spread Eagle in Gailey with a guy called John. John used to run Cannock car auctions. John said he'd look after me with the car, so we went out to Cannock car auctions, and I saw this most fantastic, gleaming, beautiful Morris Marina 1.8 TC coupe. She was beautiful. He stopped the bidding at £150. I drove out that Cannock car auctions and I realised what a fucking nail it was. It was absolutely awful. Well, I was a bit of a tart in those days, not anymore. Good boy. And I met this girl in Uttoxeter, so went over, took her out for a drink one night, half a shandy bass. Couldn't drink and drive. Couldn't drive on the main roads, couldn't drive on the motorway. Took the B road, so tractors overtake me slightly. Bear in mind, 17, no mechanical knowledge, and it started going bloop, bloop, bloop. It was overheating. I thought, it's all right, it's pissing it down. It'll cool itself down. Not bad. Stopped. This was in the old days, Jamie, the old days. There was no mobile phones, there was nothing. I thought, what the hell am I going to do? I thought I'd use one of the public telephones. Now for the kids here, public telephones are the big red boxes that people had sex and they smelled of piss. And occasionally, some of them had a working telephone in there. I couldn't find a telephone box, so I'm walking there. I got that, whatever it was, Duran sort of haircut, that's the thing, all down my face, and I saw these big gates, massive gates, and I saw a little buzzer next to it, and I thought, like, press the buzzer, ask for help. Zzz, zzz, zzz. Hello? Yeah, I broke down, can you help? Brother John here. My car's broke down, can you help? Come forward, I'll open the gates and I'll let you in. Big gates. I hope this works. Walked up the gravel drive. That didn't work so well, did it? He opened the door. Guy there. I said, I'm ever so sorry. I says, my Morris Marina 1.8 GT Coupe, which has got the same engine as an MGB GT, was broken down. He said, no worry, my son. He said, come inside, you can have a bed for the night. We have breakfast at 5:30 and we'll sort out the recovery vehicle. Great, I thought. So I went into this room, very sparse, lay down on this bed, not many sheets, just a thin blanket. I thought I was in prison. And I suddenly realised he was a monk. And I've actually gone into a monastery. So, lay there. Don't touchy, because it's a monastery. Oh, I've got to do this bit as well. 5:30. I always wanted, like Jim Davison used to do that, didn't he? he said, like, would you like to come for breakfast? And I said, yeah, that'd be great. Big, long wooden table, lots of monks. 4 monks came round. First monk gave me a wooden bowl. Second monk gave me a wooden spoon. There could have been more than 4 monks, actually. Then I had a wooden cup. And then 4th monk slopped some porridge down. And the 5th monk, missed you, sorry mate, put some water in there. And monk, my mate, he went, okay. And we all ate our porridge. And we're all there, had a prayer, thinking, I hope the fucking car works. And then someone shouts out a number, 21! I've never seen 52 monks, or was it 40, laugh so much in my life in dead silence. 17! Raucous laughter. I'm thinking, this is weird. 12! All laughter again. I said to one, I said, come. He said, what? I said, come on, let's can I have a word? He said, yeah. I said, what the blooming heck is going on? He said, we have a vow of silence. He said, and we're not allowed to talk about rude things. He says, so before you come a monk, he said, we give you this big book with jokes in there, and each joke's got a number. So we shout out the number, people remember the joke, and we have a laugh. I thought, that's so clever. That is really clever. I said, can I have a go? This is where the joke gets shit now. He said, yeah, of course you can. So we walked back in. And Brother John said, Andy, I'd like to tell a joke. I stood up. I went, 62. They were as quiet as you lot. Not a blip, nothing at all. And then suddenly I had a followed by the whole room jumped up and down, laughing, banging the wooden spoons on the bowls. There was fucking porridge everywhere. I thought, yes. Walked out. And I says to Brother John, I says, was that a funny joke? He said, well, no one's heard it before. I love that Morris. Now, I used to live in a place called Penkridge, a little market town between Stafford and Wolverhampton. Who knows Penkridge? Yeah. Beautiful town. Beautiful. There's a pub there called the Cross Keys, right by the canal. And we used to live. Yeah. Cross Keys was there, our house was there, canal was there. And if you were clever and knew your way, you could walk down the canal, you could jump over Alan Bailey's mum's hedge, into Lock Road and into your house. So I used to be a bit of a drinker. Which reminds me, I forgot.
Sounds a lot of a drinker.
I'm 60.
He's just living vicariously.
So one night, I was in there, and I was getting a bit pissed, and I was in the Radio 2 room, because I was posh, not the Radio 1 room, and I thought, I'll just walk back along the canal. I got about 50 yards, and I thought, I am absolutely busting for a waz, and I thought, sorry. It's when you get to 60. I am clenching. So I thought, no one will know, it's going a bit dark. So I thought, side of the canal. Now bear in mind, I wasn't partially sighted then. However, I was a bit blind on this side. And I'm having a bit of a wee in the canal, which is a good feeling. And I could feel someone next to you. You sense it, don't you, when someone's next to you? And I looked, and there was this biggest, darkest guy next to me. I went like, fucking hell. I thought, don't let it put you off. I thought, like, I'll get him. I'm there, I'm going, It's cold, isn't it, the water? He says, yeah, it's fucking deep. So I watched him coil it back up into his trousers. And I said, mate, I said, like, I'm not gay or anything like that, but I said, it's fucking huge. He said, yeah, it is. Big head. And I said, like, were you born with it like that? And he said, like, no. Sorry, I didn't mean to. And it's got shorter, mine. And he said, it's an old tradition. He said, when you're born into the family, you're taught how to make it bigger. And I said, can you tell me? He went, no. I said, please tell me. He went, no. I said, please. I said, I'm a bit pissed. I said, we've got on well, and we were at WAS together and everything. He said, like, go on. He says, you're that pissed, you won't remember anyway. So he told me, he said, secrets. Went, shh. He says, what you do, he says, is every night you get a bit of rope and a big brick and you swing it like that. So I went to work the next day, got a bit of rope, got a brick, went home, tied it on, fuck me. But I'm there. 2 months I swung that fucking brick. 2 months later I'm in the canal, it's a bit later on the year and it goes a bit darker. And same problem, I had to have a WAS. And you know, you get that feeling again and like, I went, all right, Derek. He went, all right, mate. He said, still deep? I said, no. He said, how'd he go? I said, I'm halfway there. He says, what do you mean halfway there? I said, well, it's gone black, Derek. He became a really, really good friend of mine, Derek. He started drinking an awful lot. Not because he got a big dick. Wasn't the cleverest bloke, but fucking clever. I mean, Tom's. Came in the pub on Thursday night. I said, all right, Derek. And he says, yes, and? I said, a beer? He said, yes. I said, we had a pint of Carlin. And he said, I'm going for a job interview tomorrow. I said, are you? He said, yeah, I am. I says, what are you doing? He says, Johnny Tester. I says, who the fuck's Johnny? He says, no, Durex. You know, I test them. I said, there's really a job testing Durex. He says, yeah. He says, I'm going, Wolverhampton. He says, the old Goodyear factory. I said, another one. Monday night, I'm in there. I'm having a beer. I go every night. And in walks Derek. Excuse me. And he comes in, face like fucking thunder. I said, do you want a pint, mate? He says, yes, please. I said, how'd you get the job? He said, shit. I said, why? He says, well, at the interview, he said, I was showed how they make Durex, Johnny's, contraceptives, phylacticals or whatever they call them. And I don't know, I've had 3 kids. And, and then you go to the testing room and he says, there is every sort of woman you can imagine. He says, they are absolutely stunningly gorgeous. And apparently, I have to test them on all those women. I said, and? He said, I got there Monday morning, put me in a room with a magazine and said I got to work a week in hand. $60. You know, one day you wake up, you realise you're 16. Certain things aren't important to you anymore. This is important. Family, friends, and people making an effort for you. People who love you. That's really what matters. Woo! Friends. I've made mistakes. I've made some good decisions. I trusted Derek. Tosser. I've sold guttering. I've built businesses. I've lost businesses. I've got married. I've got divorced. I've got married. I've got divorced. Somehow I've still managed to do it again. I'm so happy. 16, life goes on at 16. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you in Blackpool. Love you all.